I'm going to speak to everyone like maybe they haven't really done it before, just so we can get the lay of the land. I do use an auto dialer. I use Mojo. There's many of them out there. I've just been using Mojo forever, so that's what I use and I know a couple of other ones, but I don't care how they tell you how simple it is to transfer data and just put on a CSV file. It's never easy, and you lose data and stuff always goes sideways. So anyway, I'm not doing it. I'm just with Mojo at this time. I'll probably do more of an integration with another CRM before I change an auto dialer. So I buy data. Data is king. Do not buy cheap data. Do not go on Fiverr and buy cheap data and somebody's going to pull all this stuff and numbers. You will get numbers, but here's the key. All of us have only a certain amount of time, a finite amount of time. And if you buy crappy data, you're going to just spin your wheels calling people. Will you get deals from it? Probably. That's one thing that I'm going to put my foot down on. If you're going to spend your money, you got to have good data. And we can talk a little bit about some data providers that I use. And good data is going to cost you money. It's probably going to be about 12 to 15 cents a lead. That's not necessarily a phone number. So there might be a lead with like 5 phone numbers. And so it's usually 15 cents a lead. So do the math. You need about 10,000. And I'm not going to get into list stacking and all that other stuff. If you want me back, I can talk about that. But let's just say that you go on and you want a zip code and you're going to buy, some data, right? You need about 10,000 people. I'll just call people, not phone numbers. 10,000 people leads to get about 1,000 conversations. And then of the 1,000 conversations, you'll probably get 100 leads. And of 100 leads, depending on your market and your follow-up, ladies, the fortunes in the follow-up, okay? Your follow-up game, that you could close anywhere from, 1 to 7 deals out of that. Okay, and again, it depends on the price point and stuff like that too. What I do here is I also fold in door knocking, mailings. I'm not a big fan of like blast mailing because it's very expensive. And I mean, LA, don't even do it if you're not going to spend $10,000 to $15,000 a month. I mean, just any major city, in my opinion, you're just too much competition. You're just throwing your money away. But if you have rapport with someone and stuff like that, that's what I mean. You might do a mailer there, or you might find a really hot, the Munsters house on the block, and you're like, I really want to get this. Just do the door knock, do the mailer, that kind of thing, a handwritten letter. Just try that. I'm into automation, but sometimes you got to start where you start and do the handwritten letter. So back to talking to people. Data. I will upload the data. I will export it from the data provider. I upload it into Mojo and I just start dialing. I've got my headset in and I start dialing. So, what do we say? I mean, there's a lot of scripts out there. I don't know if you ladies know too much about like residential real estate, but there's Mike Ferry that was said, or Tom Ferry. Mike Ferry is the OG. He started all the real estate coaching back, I think it was the late 80s or early 90s. And he has scripts to follow. They work. But I think they sound like everyone else. And so, it's a little bit of another call too, in terms of what to say and how to say it in tonality. And that's where, the emotional intelligence component of it has come into place. But there's no getting around the work. Okay. We were talking earlier before everybody jumped on the call. You've got to time block. So whether or not you ladies are in a W-2 or you have all the time in the world, you must time block. This is a business. Treat your business like a business. People say, well, when is the best time to call? The best time to call is when you're going to call. I have found, on that note, that's not a helpful answer, but I have found that, in the morning times is a little bit better. Sometimes at lunchtime it ticks up. I think Harvard, for sure, you can Google like Harvard review, best time to call. It was like 8 in the morning to 10, and I think 4 to 7. So there are some times, and there's some statistics out there that have been done, but you've got to just, do your own play on that. And if you can't do any of those times, then pretty much everybody has Saturday off and Sunday off. And if you want it bad enough, you'll do it. And that's all I can tell you. A lot of people are in avoidance of doing the calls, or they'll hide in text messaging, and text messaging is really efficient. I think calling and text messaging is a nice 1-2 punch. You're going to pay for text messaging. It's about 3 cents a text. And every time you back and forth it, it's 3 cents a text. You're going to get a lot of no's and, pardon my French, F-offs and stuff, take me off your list and all of it. You're going to hear it. So there's no way around it. You're going to be nervous. You're going to be, this is stupid. I mean, some of us have been really high profile in other jobs, and you're like, well, I was this and I had that. I mean, one of my business coaches played in a Super Bowl, and he was like, then he did door knocking in the 90s. He's like, I played in a Super Bowl, and then the next year he was on Wall Street, and he didn't like Wall Street. And then the year after that, he was doing door knocking, and he was like, how the hell did I end up here doing door knocking? Right? It feels invalidating, and sometimes the phone feels invalidating, but it's like it all starts here. And believe me, I mean, I've been there, and 16 years later, I still go there. There are some mornings where I'm like, oh my God, cold calling. I feel like a telemarketer. That's what you are. Okay, let's not lie to ourselves. That's what you're doing, and that's what you are. You're a telemarketer. That doesn't have to be your why. So I'm not belittling anybody doing it. It's just, get straight about what you're doing. You are dialing for dollars, okay? And you need to talk to people that need your service, but it's who you're being. And, the big why has been overused so many times, but if that calls to you and that's your reason, then let that be the reason. And then you'll retrain yourself. It'll fall off your back when somebody's nasty to you. And I swear this sounds a little woo-woo, and I know I live in LA, so don't make fun of me. But it really is, everything is energy. Everything is energy. So if you get on the phones or do whatever you're doing in your life, we're talking about getting on the phones, and you have in your mind, which is really your energy, right? Your energy source is like, I don't want to do this, or this is stupid, or people are going to be mean to me, or whatever the case may be. That's going to be your experience, and you're going to basically waste your time. I've been there, I've done that, and I've done it for like a long time and got no results. And there's nothing more frustrating than doing something and quote unquote not getting results. So you got to check your head. Real estate, I think, outside of the skills of real estate, it's probably life, but it's probably 95% mindset. We all know people who are doing real estate. We're just like, that person, that girl, that guy, I could do it better. Well, okay, fine. There's plenty out there. Okay. So this sort of masculine energy of like the combativeness, and if you've ever gone to like a RIA event, there's a lot of that energy in the room. That's just how a lot of guys are wired. So let's not make them wrong. We're not really wired like that. We're a little more collaborative. So don't let that extraneous stuff get to you. There's a lot of stuff online. It's mostly men. If you watch the real estate stuff, it's all guys, and it's got a little combative edge to it, or I did this many deals or whatever, you do you, but you got to get into a good headspace. So before I get on the phone, it's all about that morning routine. And I'm not going to even really get into that too much, but you figure out what's going to work for you. I still think meditation is the biggest key indicator to life. Just that quiet time, especially in the morning. I also do it in the evening. And who's going to be who can you help today, right? Who can you help today? Who am I being while I'm on these calls? And then just get on the phone, because it is repetitious boredom. Again, you're a telemarketer and it's repetitious boredom. I'm keeping it real. I'm like that. Okay. But who are you being while you're doing that? Real estate is not a sexy business. It's not. And so we were talking earlier before, everybody got on the phone. If that's not, if cold calling is not your bag and you want to hire somebody to do it, have your kid hire somebody, a VA is going to, VA out of the Philippines, probably with data, is probably going to cost you anywhere from $1,200 to $2,000 a month. Guess what? You have to train that person up. So I think it's efficient to have a VA and to replace yourself and to scale your business eventually. But you know what? You've got to sit your butt in that seat and do it. And then you just do. It's like starting in the mailroom, right? You just, I don't know any other way. You know, unless you have enough deep pockets to where you can hire somebody that's going to train those people, which, oh, by the way, you still need to be in communication with that person and what's going on and the KPIs of all the VAs and blah, blah, blah. Now you're a manager. You got to do it. Okay, so you might as well start there, and then you'll tweak and figure out what to say. And that's a better part of my day. I do it in the mornings. I mean, I'm giving my time to you ladies, and then I have an appointment at like 11 o'clock. I'm going to go see a property. So I'm doing a flip-flop. But you should be talking to, not I just chicken scratch, somebody answered the phone, but you should be talking to about 50 people a day. And so that's about 12 an hour. So do the math, anywhere from 4 to 6 hours of prospecting a day, whether that's you or whether that's somebody else. That's a bare minimum to be able to try to do the deals that you want. So that's just the phones. You know, I've done door knocking, driving for dollars. I still do that. I think that's one of the best lists out there because not everyone else is going to have the list, and you can get in front of people. You know, newsflash, there's no new data. Everybody has been called. Okay, so the only differentiator at this point, and it wasn't like that when I started, but it is now, everybody's been called, and I will tell you that the emotional intelligence and tactical empathy, Chris Voss component, as well as my experience, as well as I think being a female voice on the phone and having some maturity. I'm not a 25-year-old guy that has like hustler energy on the phone. And this isn't my opinion per se. This is what people are telling me. That is actually my unique selling proposition. So people will actually listen like, wait, what? Like, you don't sound like everybody else, blah, blah, blah. And you're just going to get that while you do it.